Welcome to Restaurant Catering Smarts, your go-to podcast for restaurateurs looking to better operate and grow their catering profit centers. With every episode, you can count on expert advice, innovative strategies, and tasty tips straight from industry leaders. Our purpose is to help your business thrive. So, let's dig in to another juicy episode.
Hello again. I am Michael Attias, your host of Restaurant Catering Smarts, and today's guest is Aron Benon, CEO of LaLa Tacos, a fast casual brand turning heads with its unique approach to food and community. Aron has led LaLa Tacos to rapid success, blending hospitality with innovation to create an unforgettable dining experience. Under Aron's leadership, LaLa Tacos has grown from a local favorite to a thriving business with a loyal customer base and a unique approach to food and community. But before we get into asking Aron a bunch of questions, let's take a minute to recognize our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Caterzen Catering Software, the industry leader in helping restaurants turn their catering chaos into calm. Discover why top independent and enterprise restaurants trust Caterzen to save them time and increase their catering sales. Go to www.caterzen.com and sign up for a walkthrough of the software or a free 30-day trial. Now let's dive into this episode of Restaurant Catering Smarts. Welcome, Aron. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good. So first question I like to ask, give me a number between 1 and 300.
161.
161. Magic question. Beach or mountains, and why?
Mountains, because it's
shady.
and it's
Okay.
also more beautiful. I mean, they're both great, but if I had a choice, I'd rather have a cabin in the mountains than the house on the beach.
I can't argue with you there. Anytime you're away in nature unplugged, it's a good day.
I don't
So,
know when the last time I was unplugged anywhere, though.
well, one day you might be forced to be unplugged because it'll all implode. Who knows?
That could be.
So tell me about LaLa Tacos. How'd you start it? What makes you different?
Okay, so we started LaLa Tacos in 2019, a couple months before COVID, and we were never wanting to be big. We just wanted to stay busy, create something for my wife and my son to stay busy with. And so we started a couple months before COVID, and then we did start out of our house, which means that able to do things that other catering, I'll say legal catering companies can't do.
Right.
Once the governor closed down all the restaurants and all the catering businesses in Southern California, I kept my ads on Yelp live, and it was just off the hook. And we told people that we'd be more than happy to help them out with the delivery, but we wouldn't be able to come with a taco cart with our employees and whatnot. So instead of our first couple months being slow, we were able to kill it.
That's awesome. Did you have a niche? Like, who was catering back then?
No one was catering back then. So interesting story is I have 3 boys. They're all in their late 20s and 30s now. And we had a slash nanny slash a housekeeper that was with us for 17 years. And she saved every last penny we paid her all those years. So when she left us in Orange County, California, she moved up to downtown and started a taco business. She would go out to the corner and was a corner vendor, and we would always visit her and say hello.
Was it like a taco truck?
Yeah, not even a taco truck, a van that they'd set up on the corner, and they're cooking inside and we were amazed. Like, she was like telling my wife, like, oh, I did this much in sales this month. I did this much. So we realized, oh, wow, okay, that's awesome for you. So when we moved down to where we live now in Temecula, we decided that after a couple of years to maybe start a business. So since we just had a little experience from what she was telling us, no experience.
Food business.
No food business.
Besides
I was in the floral business forever.
Okay.
Which was an online floral company. And so we just started from there. So I'm going to ask you a question that I get asked all the time, but I'm asking myself, why the taco business?
Why the taco business?
Because after 3 or 4 hours of research and checking out, I'm a big research guy. I realized after going to multiple catering companies and websites and calling people and seeing how fast the response rates were, the taco catering business was the lowest on every score. People don't call you back. Their websites are not good. There's very little search engine optimization. I mean, everything was like the lowest on the rung. So I thought, well, if I want to compete against somebody in the catering business, I'll compete against other taco caterers. And that's why we chose.
You know what? I think we are brothers from another mother, because when I opened up my Corky's franchise out of college, shortly after college, I did the same thing. I played prospect. I went to all the barbecue competitors. Hey, calling at 11 o'clock to order catering. You get a guy in the kitchen, call back. Hey, you get a voicemail. Well, actually, it was an answering service. What are those things on cassette?
A recording machine?
Yeah, a answering machine, whatever, right? And nobody called you back, right? Or you get a busy signal or call back after the lunch rush. And I'm like, man, I just have to be a little bit better to crush this. And I think because we had 3 lines and everybody knew it didn't matter what was happening. If you're bagging food, pick up the phone, you can call them back, but don't turn anyone down. So kudos to you and I'm guessing like tacos, if I had to guess, it was probably pretty unsophisticated in Southern California, more mom and pop and not that corporate mentality.
Yeah, there's just a couple taco caterers above us at the time, but even them, they were like, well, I would use a different email address and, hey, inquiring, pick a date, a non-weekend date, pick a date that they probably would have available. And I come from a business background that if I get a lead, I'm like, dang, let me stop whatever I'm doing and contact these people. And just like, these people weren't even getting back to us.
But don't you find that indicative of most businesses? How many times have you called somebody, hey, I need someone to paint, I need someone to fix, put up a fence. And it's like, these people must be gazillionaires because they don't call me back. They don't follow up on leads. It's like, I'm glad you have more money than you know what to do with, because I'm not in that position yet.
Completely amazed that people take their time to spend money advertising and Yelp or wherever, and then you get a lead and they don't follow through. I mean, hello, why aren't you following through? Are you not in business? So we had such a bad response rate back from other caterers. We like this, but the biggest reason why we got into taco catering is because I know that I'm not going to disparage anybody, but the people, I don't think caterers are like, they went to technology school or business school. It's kind of like something they just dropped into.
Right.
So we knew that search engine optimization is, number one, hard to learn. Number two, expensive. You want to pay an outsider to do it. And number three is you have to be really patient for it to work.
It's a long game. It's not a short game for sure.
We kill it as
well, I mean, that gets the phone ringing, right? Now, how many locations do you have?
We just have one location in Temecula. We have a commercial kitchen, which is 2,500 square feet. And then I rented another 2,500 square feet next door as soon as my neighbor moved out. So we've got about 5,000.
That's the 5,000 for catering.
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable either sharing catering numbers or number of events or some high level of, we'll just say that if you've rented more space, you're crushing it. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Well, I remember when we got our first taco cart, my wife's car was a Sorrento. I actually had to measure her car and then see what size taco cart we could fit in her car. It was a large one. And so we started that way. Now we've got 22 taco carts, and it takes a lot for us to sell. We'll take up to 9 parties on any given day for the evening. So it's really hard for us to sell out. A lot of our competitors, as soon as they rent 2 or 3 tacos, we're booked, we're totally sold out. So we get a
So,
lot.
so as a taco cart, like I'm in the South, they have hot dog carts down here in front of places. Is it almost like a hot dog cart and it's not enclosed? It's something
It's
pop up,
it's
you
something
know,
that we make.
a portable steam table type of setup?
Yeah, more or less. I found a really good taco cart guy. He's very expensive, but he makes the best taco carts. Even no matter how hard I try to find and replace them, I can't. I'm the type of guy, I always like a deal, but I'm not willing to sacrifice too much, too much,
Quality.
degraded product because I saved $1,000. I'm a true believer that if you are busy, your customers will appreciate the better quality equipment, and we do that. All of our carts are $4,000 cost and above, up to $8,000.
Do they have wheels for that?
Yep, we have special.
Okay.
We have wheels. We roll in the backyards, and that's a lot of times when people say to us, "So hey, we want to get a taco truck," or like taco truck. What are you having a party for construction workers? Our taco carts roll right into your cocktail hour and your wedding, and people like that.
That's awesome. I did, my son graduated from high school and I did a taco bar, knowing food quantities and stuff. So part of it I did myself, some of it I bought some stuff pre-done, and it was a big hit. It was awesome.
Taco catering is very, very popular. We have, I had 8 tastings on Saturday. We invite people. We invite people to come and try our food complimentary. If you submit an instant quote that has a certain value on it.
Yeah. So
In fact,
are you,
our system will automatically offer you a tasting depending on the week of the day and how much you're spending.
and when you talk about catering, what percentage is, we'll call full service, the taco cart experience versus, hey, I just want to pick it up in aluminum pans. I'm doing a backyard pool party for 20, can't really justify the cost, or you can't justify rolling in for that. What's your minimums on the full service, and what percentage are you doing drop off?
Our minimums are like the highest in the industry, I think. For if you want us to cater for you on a Saturday, you have to spend $1,000 minimum in food. Compared to a larger caterer, but that's nothing.
I mean, that's not bad.
And if you want it during the week, it's $800.
But that's full service, right?
We roll in with a taco cart. And on top of that is our service fee and a travel fee, which is very important these days.
But if I wanted to get like aluminum pans with everything pre-done,
we run a delivery service. That's another thing a lot of our competitors don't do. They don't offer delivery because they don't want to be obligated to their office or business for that many hours a week.
So what percentage is the full service versus the drop off?
Oh boy, you know what? That's a good question. If I knew how to get into Caterers Ed and figure that out, but just by when I look at the calendars, by looking at the delivery business is maybe 15% of our business, and but what's beautiful about that 15% is like during the week when we're not doing anything, it's like, hey, got that delivery to run, so it really keeps the lights on, helps keep the lights on.
Yeah, for sure. And, you have a lot of these offices that only have 10, 20 people, and they just want some good food delivered to eat, and they're tired of the same crud that they get.
Exactly.
That's very cool. Yeah, I love a good taco. Who doesn't love a good taco? I mean, give me a break. Now I want to fly out. My daughter lives in LA. Now I need to fly out and come drive down and eat your tacos. Now that
Come on down.
I'm hungry. So your background, I know you've got a tech background, or you did a lot of tech. You were in the flower business. Tell us, tell us about the flower business, and what lessons did you learn from that you brought into the restaurant? Because there's a saying, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, right? So If you can take white-collar principles and apply them to a blue-collar business, you have an advantage, right? So you're taking what you learned in another industry, answer the phone, call them back, SEO, lead gen. Like, what are the things that you learned over there that have been invaluable to you over here?
Well, one thing we know for a fact is, number one is the faster you get back to somebody, respond to their inquiry, the higher propensity is to turn that lead into an order. That's because already people have in their minds, oh, taco caterer, flaky, whatever type of person they may think runs this type of business. So
Right.
I wanted to make sure that we started this business that starting from the how you interact with us, you how too many to creating forms where people can fill out and actually find out how much taco catering might cost them in a minute or two. Just trying to be better than everybody. Here's a tip for people if they advertise on Yelp. I try to respond to Yelp. First of all, Yelp tells customers how long it usually takes to respond to inquiries.
Right.
I'm really fast. I do it on my phone and I'll respond right away, because what people don't understand is when people use Yelp, they automatically send out, 5 more leads if you don't uncheck little tiny thing. And if you respond first, when people go to the thing, I always want to be on top. Who contacted me first? I don't have to search for my name at the top. So we respond really, really quickly. And then, it's just, I almost forgot your question now, besides responding rapidly.
Well, what else did you learn from the floral business?
Well, number one, I used to own flower shops in Beverly Hills. So we're used to catering to high-end people, the governor of California at the time, Magic Johnson at the time. We used to have some really, really big, huge customers. So one thing we learned to do, whether it was a celebrity or not, you bend over backwards. We want each one of our clients to think that they're the most important thing to us, and which is even more important because the people that are getting taco catering love it when you roll out the red carpet for them. I invite a lot of people to complimentary taco tastings because we're not cheap when it comes to that. And we decided that, at first we were setting like, you got to spend this much to get a taco tasting. Our system will invite you if you spend enough.
Right.
But we decided that we did a test. Let's invite people to a taco tasting who are having less people, maybe don't meet our requirements for a taco tasting. But I did an experiment. I kept track because I started thinking, if I was getting married, if I'm getting married, I'm a female, I'm in charge. I want them to experience the same experience, whether I'm having 60 people or 250 people. So I did a test where I started inviting some of these smaller weddings to taco tastings because I wanted them to feel, I want them to feel like, we offered the same things that, the larger spenders, and stuff like that goes a long way, a long, long, long way.
And I'm guessing you invite them out to your facility for tasting?
Yep, we have a tasting patio, and we can sit 3 groups down at a time, and we only do it Wednesdays through Saturdays because we'd rather not do it on Saturdays, but that's the time when most people come in. And when people come in for tastings on Saturdays, we make sure we have one particular thing we slow cook here, and we start it earlier, open up on Saturdays. So
is it birria tacos?
We don't do birria, but we do our carnitas. You slow cook them, and they overwhelm the whole building. And when people walk in, that's the first thing. My crew will say, we don't need any more carnitas. I said, I got 8 tastings today. We're doing carnitas because I want them to smell those carnitas as they're walking.
For sure. So what I'm envisioning as I roll up, and it's almost like a mini reception. I see what the cart's like, the service is like, what the whole setup is, right?
Well, yeah, closing is huge to us. We didn't used to show our taco carts, but now we've got 19 taco carts in our warehouse. So I did another experiment is when people are coming for tastings, I say, hey, come next door. Let me show you some of my taco carts. I have a 50% better conversion rate after showing people the extra square footage and how big we are. So it's just, I know that making good impressions on people, when it comes time for them to decide who are they going to use, especially for taco cases, like, did you see all those carts? Did you see all the square footage? Did you smell all those little things add up to making the decision to use us.
Yeah. It's funny, like marketing is anything that touches the prospect, right? And so what I'm envisioning is, here are these brides, they're irrational, they're crazy about a perfect wedding, and they're thinking, man, I got to trust Aron because if he's got 19 taco carts, he's not going to flake on me, right? It's not like he's running this out of his mother's basement and he's cooking, this is the real deal. Like, he's not going to leave me hanging.
Right.
And even if it costs me a couple of dollars more, I'm not going to be embarrassed on my wedding and there's no freaking food, or the person's going to show up poorly, or
we get people.
Do y'all do a latte, by the way?
What's that?
Do y'all do a latte?
We do elotes on the cob and in the cup. We did.
Do you have a grill to do them on site?
No. Once they're cooked off site, and then what we do is we put them in a large shafer, and people make little cups for themselves and things like that. We used to offer them just on the cob, but then we realized that it's not the best look seeing all these brides now into there.
Yeah.
So we don't do that anymore. But we offer them the choice. When we got in the taco catering business, we had a decision to make. Should we go after the quinceañeras and do the sombreros and put our tortilla chips around? Or should we not do that and gear towards the weddings and birthdays and celebration of life? And we decided to go in that direction. So when people ask us, hey, do you have like the Mexican flag colors for tablecloths? It's, no, that's not us. We respect that, but we don't. When we taco catering, there's nothing that reminds you of Mexico except the food and things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what I found is, like, my son got married last fall in DC, and they threw a nice wedding, but I was limited how many people I could bring. And so I have a lot of friends and business associates and people in Nashville. So I said, y'all come down for a weekend. I'll throw like a little open house in my house. And we used a client here, Taziki's Mediterranean. It's like, I'm not going to go hire a high-end caterer to charge me $150 a head, and I think the advantage guys like you have and I had in the barbecue business is you can give probably a better food overall experience, right? That people go, man, that was cool. That was fun. That was good food. And it didn't cost me $1 million, because at the end of the day, people are cracking open a beer. They're having a couple of tacos. It's all about the connection and the bonding. Unless you're doing the Academy Awards or some white tie event, a lot of people just want something cool, and they don't want to have to, excuse my French, they don't want to dick around with it, right? No. They just want, hey, for $1,000, you're going to come do, I can spend $1,000 to have 50 people or whatever, and you're going to take care of them, and I don't have to clean up, I don't have to mess up, I don't have to sit and cook for 3 days, and everybody has a great time.
And they're going to need there's going to be more ounces of food to actually consume, and it's better. I tell people all the time when I do sales for the tastings, I tell them, I believe one of the only caveats to this type of catering is people do have to get up from their chairs and their tables and walk over to our taco cart. But you're not paying $130 for a piece of chicken this big, airline salad, and some rolls that were made the night before.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, go ahead.
One other thing before I forget, if there's any other caterers out there, or small caterers, one thing that I've learned is when people come in for tastings with their mothers, you have to pay a lot of attention to the mother. We have found that a lot of the mothers are like, what? I've been imagining throwing a big, beautiful wedding for you all my life, and now you want taco catering? So we did is we actually created an elevated menu. It's not expensive. It's $27.99. Okay. Yeah. That's getting a little expensive for taco catering. And you know who goes for that? The mothers. Right. It's not good enough because, hey, they're offering ribeye, asada, tri-tip, carnitas.
So it's just a more elevated menu. So are you doing after parties?
Yeah,
like, people throw these big weddings and then, 12 o'clock, everyone's got a bunch of booze on their stomach. It's like, hey, can you roll out the taco truck so people get some food?
We call it late night snack on our thing. But when I talk to people, one thing we never, ever do, and I don't know if it's popular with other places, I never ask anybody their budget. I think it's a rude question because a lot of caterers, consumers will automatically think, I'm not going to tell my budget, then he's going to sell us up to our budget. And I tell people, I don't care what your budget is. If you hit our minimum, we're coming out. The reason I ask you what your budget is because so I can make assertions like this. A lot of times these kids will come and say, well, we're thinking about doing a late night snack. And I'll say, I'm sensing that you guys are on a budget. Don't waste your money on a late night snack. If you pay me for 100 people for a late night snack, 35 or 40 people are at that point, they're dancing, they're sweating, and you think because they have a blood alcohol level, by you feeding them, it's going to lower their blood alcohol level. Well, and a lot of people don't know this. Putting food into your body does not lower your blood alcohol level one iota. So please don't spend this money on late night snack. Just put more money into your taco catering and doing a bigger push early. I mean, we'll come out for late night snack if you want, but if you're on a budget, don't waste your money. And people actually appreciate, you can get just as much adulation and thanks convincing people not to spend money unnecessarily than you can if you just take their order.
You know, I think it gives you a lot of credibility when you tell people, you know what, if it was my event, I wouldn't spend this money, because then whether they use you or not, the perception is I need to work with these people because they're straight shooters. They're not just trying to milk me for every dime. And whether this is the right fit or not, you want to be in that light, right? So these are just good common sense. Everything you're talking about is just common sense sales and marketing, right?
And another good thing for anybody that's listening who's starting out is we have something called the quote calculator, and you basically pick your menu. And if you want guac and chips for a taco bar, how many people do you want it for? Or so some people, like you said earlier, elotes. So if you're having 100 people and they say you want 100 elotes, we go, no, that's too much. We recommend 75% of your group. We do not like to oversell food if we know it's going to go to waste. And we tell people that. Let's not be wasteful. Now, guac and chips, there's always people that say, look, honey, free guacamole, and they'll take. So we recommend you go 100% on guacamole. And so we really try to educate people. I don't want to make an extra $500 or $600 in sales and then bring a bunch, because we don't use product the next day here. If you bring back guacamole, it's not going out on the next day's party. So
no, it's gonna be brown anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So does everything fit in the carts, or some things are on tables, some things are in the cart? Like the cart is like a steam table.
When people walk up to our taco carts, all the meats are there. What we do is we hot flash it there. You're not legally allowed to cook out in the open air unless you're really tented in. Everything is made earlier in the day. I keep one of our coolers really cold, a little above freezing. So everything stays nice and fresh, goes in coolers with lots of blankets, and we hot flash it. All of our meat is on the cart, so it stays really hot.
Yeah.
We're constantly rewarming tortillas as the night's going on for people to help to serve the tacos.
Do you have an indoor unit, or is it all outdoor?
All outdoors. We, when people say to us, hey, if people tell us there's no carts allowed, then we'll do buffet service and bring all the food hot, and we'll bring our own little warming ovens and bring power packs to keep things warm. We don't trust those boxes. The hot boxes are nice, but if you want your food to stay piping, we like to keep it at 170 in our own little ovens we bring.
I gotcha. So let's talk about this catering calculator, right? It's on your website. I can't pull up the website right now. Tell me why you decided to do it, how it helps you. We talked about feeding it in to your CR.
Yep. Well, what started to happen to us probably 6 months after we opened, the search engine optimization was like really good, and started getting, started with 5, 10, 15. Sometimes I get to 35 different customers a day asking us for dates throughout the year. I mean, heck, I closed one yesterday for May of 2026 for $4,000. I was like, dang, but they wanted to commit now. I think people are realizing that when it comes to catering, if you want somebody, there's always somebody, but there's not always somebody good. So if you want, we always tell people, whether you book with us or somebody else, book as soon as you can. Don't sit on it. So what we've done is my wife and I handle all the marketing. We've got, 12 people working here, but we like to handle our marketing. We don't let anybody that caters in except my wife and I. And so we started getting so many leads. A lead to us before is people writing us, sending us an email saying, hey, I'm having a party for 60 people. Are you available? Well, you didn't tell me the date. You didn't tell me which of our menus you like. All did ask if we're available on that date. So I got tired of that. So what I did is I created, it's much like the menu offerings you guys have. I believe you have something, and you need something a little cleaner and a little faster and much smarter. So we get quite a few leads. It's all in one sheet of paper. It's all one. So when somebody sends us, we call it an instant quote. Yeah. And we know their name, their phone number, their email address, the date, what time their party starts, and then which of our menus they like. And then takes them all through a section. Do you want pico de gallo for your taco bar? Yes. For how many people? 60 people. So the time we get it, I know exactly, let's say it was you had everybody over your house. I know exactly everything I need to know about your party. And then I send you an email saying, hey, we can do this. I reply to it. And then we ask people if they would like us to create a formal quote for them. A formal quote is when we take all the information from the instant quote and put it into the CaterZen quote system. So we found that our availability, my wife and I were spending hours and hours and making mistakes. So once we built the quote calculator, and we've updated it quite a few times, it really, really, my programmer says, oh, maybe we should offer the quote calculator to other people and stuff like that. So first of all, I don't want to get into that kind of sales. And number two is the quote calculator is awesome if you've got 20, 30 leads coming in a day. If you only have 3 or 4 or 5 people, I recommend answering the phones and talking to those directly and trying to close as much as possible. We do a pretty good job closing around here. You could see that from your system, I'm sure. But we follow up. We do everything we can. We really look. It's this business is not hard, but you have to treat it like the same decisions you'd make for a big corporation. Don't make the same mistakes that a lot of other people like. We're just a catering business. Oh, this guy wrote me an email on Thursday. I'll get back to him on Saturday. And if he's interested, he's interested. If he's not, he's not. Heck, we get a lot of leads that we can't do, just whether it's too small or too far or whatever. You know what I do? Thank you very much. Here's I'm unable to do it. Here's $100 off for your next purchase.
Wow.
And when people send us an email saying, hey, thanks for your time, we've decided to go with another caterer, I used to get mad and say, how come you didn't choose us? But you know what I write back now? Have an awesome event, ! Here's $200 off for a future purchase.
Wow.
And I can tell you this, very, 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 very few people. It's one of my employees. But very, very few people take us up on it. But I've had a lot of people actually write back, class act. Hey, we turned your business down. We didn't want to go with you. And you sent us a $200 coupon for the future. A lot of times when it's for weddings, I'll say, here's $200 off for the baby shower. And they like that too.
Well, half of them are going to be repeat customers, so you might as well save for your next wedding.
Yeah, you know what? I've sent out thousands of those. Only 2 people have asked us for their discount. But, it's like you were saying earlier about how do I get back to people and stuff like that. Yeah. Let them remember us. I don't have time. We do so much. I can't go back to somebody that did a quote 3 months ago. Like I sent them one follow-up, right. just.
And just to let you know, we're always developing stuff that we're working on a system. When you send out the proposal, it's got an expiration date and it has reminders, and then the customer can accept it and pay for it automatically.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
that's one thing we haven't been able to figure out with our quote yet, our instant quote calculator, because we don't calculate travel fees or delivery fees or service. Yeah. All that comes in once it goes into the form.
Right. Interesting. So besides the SEO, word of mouth, following up with people. What else are you doing to get the phone to ring in business?
That's, I gotta be, I'm going to knock on wood as I say this. My SEO is so awesome. I don't have to do anything else.
That's a good problem to have.
Your assistant said, "Hey, you didn't put your social media links." I told her, I said, I don't have time to post to Instagram and to post for here because I got so many leads, live leads. So a lot of people that really work Instagram, a lot of time it's their only form of marketing. I don't have time. We started a churro business also because so many people ask us churros. Now we kill it in churros. It's like a whole other side business.
So is it sort of like a churro bar?
We created
catering?
A churro cart that we fry them right there. And here's another lesson to other caterers. So when so many people were asking us for churros, I said, okay, I'll do what everybody else does. I'll buy those churros that you buy frozen. Here's a hint. If you ever can buy a churro that's perfectly straight, made in a factory with preservatives, frozen, and then refried or rebaked. So we tried those. And what I do is whenever I bring a new item, I get all my employees together. We found it to be chewy. Okay, that was baked. Now they say we can refry them. So I said, no. We went out and bought now we got 7 churro carts. We have churro carts. They wheel right into your party. We do a lot of late night snacks for them. And we fry right there. We use the Disney recipe. And people love our churros. And I probably turned down.
So do you have an extruder?
What's that?
You have an extruder that takes the batter out and drops it in the grease? Is that how it works?
We hold a silo. It drops in there.
Yeah.
We turn it around like this, and we cut them, and they fry them right there, and your party starts smelling like a...
Oh, my God. You're killing me over here. You're killing me.
We sell a lot of churros. I turn down more churro business than I can handle.
So how much do you charge a person for churros, and what's the minimum?
Well, here's a secret. We offer the churros for free if you spend a certain amount of money with us. So when you go to my quote calculator, I'm not going to tell you how much because people test just like people test your system. I see testing all day long going on. Good luck. You can have the best quote calculator, but if you don't have leads, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So if you come to our site and you hit a number, a secret number, it offers you complimentary churros. And if you
do people ever just contract out and say, hey, I just want you to do churros at my party?
All the time.
So same $1,000 minimum, I'm guessing?
No, it's a little cheaper, but now we're not able to offer churros when people contact, in fact, today. Some people wrote us today, 140 people for churros next September on a Saturday.
Too busy.
Too busy. And what happens is, when we were first starting out, we would take churro business, and we're like, hey, we got a person who wants to spend $5,000. They're like, oh no, we have 2 churro parties that night. That's 2 crews that could rather be going out.
Right.
That's what we did is, instead of just turning down churro business, we did some experiments here. And now on some of our parties, we actually make the churros in advance. We bring out a warming oven. And we use the churros that we made a few hours before. So this one is turning down any business, but the churro business, it's a very dirty job. There's a lot of cinnamon, there's a lot of sugar, there's a lot of, these things, but
it's good stuff. I had dinner with a friend last night. We were talking about, did you have cinnamon toast when you were a kid?
Yeah.
That's a lot. You know what? I don't even think my kids ever had cinnamon toast. It's a lost delicacy in the child rearing age we're in now.
Exactly. If I give any advice to any catering business, of course, if you're a big caterer, this advice doesn't. And $140 plate catering and my type of catering is 2 totally different things.
Of course.
People that are, and I'm sure it's like this for barbecue and the small sushi caterers and stuff like that. People like something for free. And it's not enough, I don't think, these days to just know that they're getting a good value. What are you going to do for free? When people come to us, they're going to other companies too. You know what I mean? So We offer them, like, hey, if you spend this much, I can do this for you. If you do this much, I can do this for you. The only time we don't offer anything special is on Saturday nights. We don't have to give discounts on Saturday nights.
Because you're swamped. Yeah. So, we're getting close to wrapping this up. A couple of questions. What's next for y'all? You're going to expand? You're going to franchise? Or are you just happy cranking out the tacos? And
I think I'm just going to operate the business for 4 more years and let my son take it over. I don't know. Expanding a taco catering business is really hard. I mean, sometimes we'll have like 9 parties in the evening, but we do 2 in the afternoon. And we're talking, it's a day of chaos. Every party gets their set of food, and this one gets 40 portions of pico de gallo, this one gets 4 elotes, and so it's like, and you know what? Mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. If I can give whatever little bit of advice to a smaller caterer or something like that, when we used to make mistakes, or then maybe the customer made a mistake and we started out, I would defend our company and maybe be a little argumentative with them. And I've realized that's the worst freaking thing you could possibly do. Even if it wasn't your fault, apologize and offer them something back that makes them happy. Because bad review, you can equate what a bad review does to your business. And so now, if we make a mistake, and depending on what it is, we might offer you $200 back. We might offer you $4 back. Maybe we forgot to bring the guac and chips, and you only spent $280 on guac and chips. Not only am I going to give you your money back, I'm going to give you an apology, $200 back too. So if I just said, well, sorry, we forgot the guac and chips, of course I'm going to give you a refund, that's not enough for people. What are you going to do for me? You made a mistake. How are you going to pay the price on that? And once I stop being argumentative, it's helped the business. Don't worry about what you got to come out of your pocket. Worry about if this person goes and gives you a bad review, and maybe ask 1 or 2 friends to give you a bad review, because no business can take on 2 or 3 back-to-back one-star reviews.
Well, you understand the lifetime value of a customer, right? Because how much will they spend with you in the future, and how much will they refer to you, right? So you could turn that $1,000 event into $20,000 of business, or it could be negative $20,000 that you lost out on because they're like, don't use these guys, they're schmucks.
Absolutely.
So that's a great point. This is just good common sense.
But you'd be surprised how many people don't have common sense in the catering business. It can be.
I think in life, I've always said common sense isn't common. I've definitely said that with my kids sometimes. My kids they got way better educations than me, and they've done some bonehead moves when they were in high school. I'm going, how in the world did you get into Vanderbilt? I would have never done such a thing. They won't even let me wash dishes at Vanderbilt, let alone get in the university. Any closing tips before we close out?
Hold on 1 second. I'll do it in a second. All I can say is if you want to get in the catering business, first of all, let me say this. We could never do what we do if we didn't have an awesome system like Cater's Zen. Once we got used to it, and your system does a million things, and I'm sure everybody can find my 15 things that I use over and over again. Somebody else might have other 15 things they use over again, because there's a lot of bells and whistles. You can't use all the bells and whistles because you don't have time, but it's an amazing tool for us. It's streamlines our system. There's certain things we don't use for it, like email notifications and things like that.
Right.
You have to kind of work your way backwards to do it and stuff like that.
Right.
But I would say just stick with it and don't, and if somebody wants your business, if somebody is contacting you, consider it like somebody dropping that $20 bill in front of you. Are you going to walk around the block once, then pick it up? Somebody contacts you and wants catering, you get back to them. As soon as you see this, even if I'm watching a movie at home, if I see a good party come through, I'll pause it, go to my office, send them a quick email, because I know that by receiving an email on a Friday night at 8:30 at night is better than Saturday afternoon. And I want to make first impression.
And that is probably the best marketing you can do, because they're like, hey, if they're getting back to me, then I know they're going to take care of me. If this is how they deal with me, then it sets the tone. And
Exactly. We're responsible.
Yeah, that's awesome. This has been fun. It's been a good conversation. Flowed great. I'm definitely going to have to, next time I go visit my daughter, drive south and gorge on some of your tacos and churros. And I want to see your warehouse with all the taco carts you speak of. So I appreciate it. So with that, I'm going to take us out and wish you a good afternoon, Aron. Thanks
for having me.
You've been listening to Restaurant Catering Smarts. For more insights and episodes, make sure to follow along, subscribe, and share at caterzen.com.